Finally, college athletics are limited to college-aged athletes.
You are Locked On College Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome in. I'm Jacob Goins, the host of Locked On Hoosiers. He is Zach Seyko, the host of Locked On Nittany Lions. Crossing it over today because big news in the college athletics world, Zach Seyko. No more 28-year-olds playing college football. No more judge, injunctions to get extra years. If you're a college-aged athlete, you will be playing college athletics thanks to what has been voted on an age-based eligibility rule, and it's about dang time that this finally happened, huh?
Yeah, college athletics should be about college-aged athletes. What a novel idea. What a crazy idea this was.
I mean,
the NCAA broken clock, right? Twice a day type of deal. They get something right, but this I'm glad that this is going to be passed, right? It's pending at the time of this recording, but nothing crazy is going to happen that totally offsets this. However, I will not be surprised if somebody tries to sue this and say, well, What about this circumstance? What about that? And tough. You have to, you can't be in college forever. You can't.
As much as you try, and people have, right? Again, I say no more 26, 27-year-olds, but we've literally had that. Look at college basketball has been the worst with that, right? You've had guys play 7 or 8 years of college athletics, and it's like, dude, read the room, man. You're clearly not good enough to go pro, and you don't need to be in college that long. And of course, what we're talking about is the NCAA Division I cabinet. They voted unanimously to approve an age-based eligibility model. This happened earlier in the week. So basically, you've got 5 years to play 5 years, and it all starts when you graduate or on your 19th birthday, right? When you enroll in college or on your 19th birthday, whichever one comes earlier. And yeah, there absolutely will be lawsuits that come from this. They're already preparing for it. They knew when they voted for it, but this is the right thing. This is the right move. This needed to happen years ago. And I understand that there are people, Zach, who will say, well, what happens if you get injured? Or what happens if you have a family member you have to go tend to? Or what happens if you have several coaching changes? Well, that's called life. That happens.
The religious exemptions. I think one of the biggest concerns is going to be, and I know there's going to be selective things for different schools, but the example that comes up all the time is BYU. BYU with the missions trips and everything else. How is that going to work? There are going to be select instances of what ultimately happens, but it's not about punishing BYU. It is about trying to get just some organization to college sports, football and basketball primarily. But I talk about wrestling a ton on Locked On Nittany Lions, right? Because of Penn State wrestling. This is going to have a serious impact. You cannot have 26-year-olds playing a sport, being an opponent against an 18, 19-year-old. I would also say this changes the beginning of it as well. When you say the eligibility clock starts when you graduate or when you're at 19 years old, there were so many athletes that were trying to game the system by being a 20, 21-year-old freshman. Or too many. It's not the majority, but there was a pretty loud minority of college-aged athletes who were basically grown adults as a freshman, and then they would maximize their eligibility that way by being held back in school for multiple years, and whether grade school or whatever, and that's out the window as well. 19 to 24-year-olds should be playing sports against 19 to 24-year-olds. If you can't cut it at that point, go to the pros. Go overseas and play Europe Basketball League. There's no shame in that.
No, you can make good money doing that.
Yes,
actually,
you can.
I agree. And basically what this does, if people are kind of confused or wondering what exactly this means, this eliminates redshirting altogether. Redshirting is done. Redshirting is gone. Like, you will not have a redshirt sophomore. He's a redshirt junior or a redshirt freshman. That will be eliminated. You have 5 years to play 5 years. If you get hurt in fall camp and tear your ACL and you're out for the year, sorry, it sucks, but your freshman year is now gone. You'll be a sophomore when you join the team next season when you're back fully healthy. And I brought up the family thing and you brought up the religion thing, but yeah, at this point, it's tough. And I tip my cap to the NCAA and everybody involved in this decision because it sets a standard. It sets a precedent. It sets a ruling to where this is it. This is the line. You cannot cross it. You cannot go outside of it. You cannot go around it. You can't go above us to break it. This is what we are going to do. And yeah, there will be some athletes, Zach, who get screwed over in this. There's no doubt about it. But this benefits 98% of college athletes to where now, and this is important too, this happens right now. As soon as this is voted in this week, this takes hold for 2027 recruits. They are now in the age, what are they calling it? They're calling it the age limit eligibility, right? Or based eligibility, I think is what they're calling it. So think about that. You and I have been talking a lot of football recruiting on our respective shows. Those kids we're talking about are now basically in the age-based eligibility rule.
Well, and that's the thing. The bigger deal to me isn't just how it impacts the athletes that are going to be coming into college sports very soon. What about the current athletes that were a part of the old rules and now have to adapt? Because here's, again, this is, I have the wrestling angle. This isn't so much it's a big deal in the scheme of things for football and basketball because you prevent 27, 28-year-olds from playing college sports forever. And I know that has to do with the COVID eligibility and everything else, but then we got people were exhausting the system. So that's why this is a response to everyone abusing the system as it was with if you can get an extra year for this, well, what about this? And what about that? That's why this is in place because
they just kept going further and further and further.
You guys abuse the system. So now that's why we're here, but it's the right decision regardless, with or without the changes because of COVID. I think of the athletes what was their plan coming in? Because 5-for-5 changes, especially with wrestling. Okay, how do you get in the lineup when there's only 10 people? You know, football and basketball have depth charts and everything, or more, relaxed depth charts, if you will. It's not an all or nothing. You compete or you don't compete like it is in wrestling. Those guys came in. 5-for-5 changes everything because now you have 5 years to compete, and that's it. And what I mean by that is saying, you losing that redshirt year, there's no developmental year. So how many wrestlers, how many prospects in general, this can apply to football and basketball too, how many of them want to take a year off just to train and just to redshirt without, you are sacrificing a year of playing if you go in with a redshirt plan. Okay. So now that you don't have that, now you don't have an excuse to come in and, well, I'm just gonna be a practice squad player. You got to decide, is it worth doing that and giving up a year of playing eligibility?
I think what that's going to do is, rather than that basketball player or that wrestler or whatever player that they are, rather than saying, okay, I'm going to go sit for a year at Penn State or at Indiana and I'm going to get better but be in the Indiana system, that's going to force them to say, okay, maybe I should just go be a big player at Georgia Southern and go play there for a year and then try to work my way up.
It's going to dilute the talent. It's going to disperse it because using a redshirt season is now no longer strategic for your because you had it. You had 4 years to play, and then the redshirt year was necessary to get a head start. But now, do you really want to give up a year of playing or a year of wrestling or a year of competing?
Some will, some won't.
You got to wait. You got to weigh that decision.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And for folks asking about players who are currently enrolled at their current school for whatever program that they're in, On3 says this. It says currently enrolled athletes with eligibility remaining after the 25-26 academic year, which is basically happening right now, will be allowed to apply the age-based model or continue with the previous eligibility rules, whichever is most beneficial to that individual. So they are allowing folks who are already in college to kind of choose which path that they want to go down, which I think is smart too. But starting with 2027 recruits, you're in the age-based eligibility. And again, I think you and I both agree that this is good for the future of college athletics. Yeah. And so that's the big news this week. But there was some other big news with a coaching change kind of in Ann Arbor, Michigan, with Dusty May leaving to go to the NBA. And while that news is big in itself, what happens to that roster? And what does that mean for college athletics moving forward? We'll talk about that coming up next on this Locked On Crossover.
And today's episode is brought to you by Odoo. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. One app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works all in one place, helping your team move faster, stay organized, and focused on growing the business instead of managing software. Think about the hiring of Matt Campbell by Penn State. The adjustment itself has been important, but what is really impressive is how smoothly it's been implemented. Everyone knows their role. Everyone's on the same page, and that's usually what will separate a great team, a great organization from the good ones. Great organizations win because operations matter. And that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That is odoo.com/lockedon.
We always enjoy coming together and talking, yes, about Indiana, yes, about Penn State, but also big storylines in the Big Ten, college football, college basketball is where we head now because Dusty May, Penn State fans are really excited.
We love basketball over here.
They're going to hang around. They're going to listen to this segment, and you should, Penn State basketball fans, I swear, because we're going to zoom out and look at this situation because it's a whole lot bigger than just a Big Ten coach leaving for the NBA. It's a big deal in itself. But now you have a roster, a national championship roster that they brought back some guys, they rebuilt through the portal, and are one of the favorites to run it back and go back to back and try to win a title again. That's a roster sitting in Ann Arbor that's in limbo. They now have to decide, do we stick around Michigan with whatever they decide to do with their next head coach, or do we hit the portal and go somewhere else? And Zach, the domino effect here is it could be catastrophic because these guys could leave. Can teams afford to pay them? Do they have a place to go? And what happens if Michigan hires another big time head coach? Then that school has to go into this situation. I mean, you see what I'm laying out here. This could be a huge cluster of guys leaving in the middle of the summer for college basketball when the portal closed 2 months ago.
There's got to be a regulation put in place for that. I think I saw that Michigan intended to promote the assistant head coach as the interim, but I don't know what that means. Yeah. I don't know what that means in terms of hiring somebody else, right? Does it benefit Michigan to promote the assistant so that the team stays intact? Or do you go and hire somebody else and basically big fish eats little fish? Okay. Yep. You absorb somebody else's program and try to win there. So Michigan, if those players all decide to transfer en masse, you could try to do something. Michigan kind of wins in both regards because if those players transfer out, well, all those NIL agreements are null and void. You can go pitch the same thing. Hey, we just won a national title with Dusty May in 2 seasons. You could do the same thing here. I don't think Michigan is in a spot where.
But who do you get? Who do you go get? Everybody's on rosters already.
Well, then when a coach leaves a program, and here's what we're talking about again. Remember, when a coach leaves a program, the transfer portal opens up. This is what is so bad about this rule set is that Michigan, again, can absorb another program. So Dusty May goes off to the NBA. If Michigan so wanted to, hey, we want to hire you. Okay, great. Now that team can just follow the entire that staff to Michigan if it were to be that case. So that's one problem.
That's gross.
I want to comment on the move Dusty May going to the NBA because it is the opportunity. Maybe he has personal goals and objectives that are aligned with him. He wanted to be an NBA coach. I don't see this move being so beneficial for Dusty May. There is a lot you are risking. You had just about every resource you could ask for at Michigan. You won a national title in year 2. If you're bad in 2 years with the Dallas Mavericks, say you can't adjust to look how quickly they fired John Beilein from the Cleveland Cavaliers. It was 14 games. I don't know the exact number, but it was in the middle of his first season. It was horrible. You win a national title at Michigan. Okay, that doesn't satisfy you. Fine. You want to go to the NBA and see if you can do it in the pros. If you get 18 to 20 wins both of your first years and you're just not cut out for it, Dallas has no loyalty to you. They moved on from Jason Kidd, a guy that was a legacy there as a player. So I don't know that the Michigan, the Duke job, when John Shire denied the Dallas Mavericks and said, I'm going to stay at Duke, I was texting a buddy of mine. I said, I don't think that the Dallas Mavericks are a better job than Duke basketball. I could probably say the same thing for Michigan.
Yeah, it's just a whole different beast, right? And that's where a lot of people have turned their focus here, because Dusty May leaving to go to the NBA isn't just leaving a Big Ten school in trouble. He had comments, Zach, about the game of college basketball and college athletics as a whole, because he doesn't want to be a part of it anymore. And this isn't an old school coach like Coach K or Roy Williams or Jay Wright that were in it for years and years, and Nick Saban, like we've seen in college football, right? Where they were in the previous era and they saw this transition and they got out. This is a young coach. This is a guy that has won championships and made title runs and made tournament runs. And he said, I'm good. I'm going to go out on top and go to the NBA, where my job is a hell of a lot easier, where I can just do coaching. I can just draw up X's and O's and let everybody else in the front office deal with money and contracts and drafting and doing things like that. As a college head coach in any sport, you are that. You are the CEO, the GM, and everything in between. And that's why Dusty May decided to go. That's crazy. That's a bad sign, Zach. That's a bad sign.
There's a lot of risk involved here. I also look at it as Dusty May is, because I see the Michigan fan point of view, and Dusty May, this is what you get when you hire a mercenary head coach. He didn't really have a lot of longevity anywhere. I guess he spent 6 years at FAU, but are you going to pass up an opportunity to stay at FAU or are you going to pass up an opportunity to go to Michigan when you're at FAU? So Dusty May, I'm not surprised, kind of jumped around as it is. And then you can't complain and say, well, he has no loyalty. You hired the guy who really wasn't a bastion of loyalty. So Michigan kind of making its own bed, so to speak, with this coaching situation. At some point, Dusty May was going to get phone calls. Duke's doing it right with John Shire. He is Mr. Duke.
He turned down the NBA job. He turned down the Dallas Mavericks job.
He bleeds blue and white. So if Michigan is upset about that, well, then you should have tried to hire another Michigan guy. Just because Juwan Howard didn't work out doesn't mean that there aren't other people. I was just
about to say that. Juwan Howard's available.
I'm just saying you can't complain about it. You can't complain about that. How could Dusty May betray us? He has no loyalty to you. He has no allegiance to you. What do you mean?
Yeah. I don't know if I haven't seen a ton of Michigan backlash. Have you? Have you seen a bunch of Michigan fans going at him at Dusty May? I understand you could be
just questioning his decision. They said thank you for the national title, but don't let the door hit you on the way out, kind of deal.
Yeah, I just think it's a bad sign when a coach wins it all. He's at the top of the game, at top of the sport, and he decides to leave and has quotes about the future of college athletics. I just think that's a really bad sign. And again, it just all gets folded back into these conversations we're having on a weekly basis right now of what does the future look like? What is going to happen? What changes will be made to bring us back to where we used to be with college athletics? But we'll end today's episode right there. Fun conversations, great conversations. He is Zach Seyko, the host of Locked On Nittany Lions. I'm Jacob Goins, the host of Locked On Hoosiers. Make sure you subscribe to both of our channels on YouTube. Drop your thoughts down in the YouTube comments as well on the age-based eligibility, plus Dusty May leaving to go to the NBA, and follow us on those audio podcasting platforms as well. Zach Seyko, thank you as always, my friend. We'll do it again very soon.
Glad we got to chat again, Jacob. Always great to do these kinds of shows.